Hello and welcome to This Time Africa. We are in the studios of Afrique today, and once again I have with me in the studio somebody from Rwanda and another person from the United States of America, where we are talking about peace building, good governance and democracy. They're in the persons of Mary HENRIETTA UWERA from Rwanda. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dr. Matilda, for having me today.
And also Dr. Bland Lawrence.
I'm always excited to be here.
I'm always excited to pick some good words of wisdom from you. So we're talking about watch democracy grow, and I wanted to continue this because I am in the media.
Yes.
My background is broadcast journalism, and I did other things that wear my hat. But how does the media, what's the role of the media? Why is it important to democracy?
Communication.
Okay.
And specifically, what types of communication? If we're communicating the wrong information because those who are providing it are less equipped to truly inform the community of what their needs are, the opportunities where they can derive a benefit, what they have to do is, in communication, is come up with solutions to the problem. We all know what the problems are. Wherever you are, no matter what culture you come from, you know what the inherent problems are of your particular community. But that doesn't solve the problem. And when you attempt to do something about it, it exacerbates the circumstance. Then we have the abuse of government, who may be tyrannistic and wanting to retain what they've currently got. When I say that tribalism is detrimental to any country, and particularly in Africa, why would you have a leader in the presidency of a country for 30, 40, 50 years? And that leader has not grown significantly to add to the equation. Doesn't mean that the leader is necessarily bad, but the leader is ill-equipped to continue with the same old policies that have stagnated and enslaved its own population.
Yeah.
We get countries that choose to think it's appropriate to genocide other members of their families who belong to different religious parties, coming from the same tribe or some neighboring tribe. We know what happened in Rwanda. That was an atrocity within itself. But most of us tend
It's in a new place today, though. I'm so proud of Rwanda.
Yes, but look what it had to do to get where it was. It was necessity that was bringing it out of that chaotic condition.
Exactly, yeah.
But when you have so many other nations who have not matured yet, and they're still fighting the same old battles they had before, because the old regime refuses to allow the new, younger regime who are more adept at computerism and understanding the politics of today as opposed to what it was yesteryear.
It's a new age.
A new age. And you have to make provisions for people to assimilate, especially young people. Exactly. Give them a realistic opportunity that they can also be a part of tomorrow. They can also contribute to their government. What was the statement made by John F. Kennedy? Don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. That had a lot of power. I had spent a lot of time in the civil rights era, as many people who are viewing this tape, and hopefully that will be at the coming conference. And I want to reemphasize, it is imperative for you to attend this upcoming conference. We will teach you some things you hadn't expected before. We will talk about issues that many people are afraid to discuss. Watch Democracy Grow is an organization that provides these opportunities for any number of people who are interested in doing what's right for their people and their culture. This is an opportunity to come together with others from other neighboring countries, learning from them about economic development. What opportunities are there? It's not networking. It's being able to find out from each other that we're not harmful towards one another, that we are peaceful-minded, and it's only necessity that sparks these issues because they've been denied the opportunity to live like decent human beings. So we look forward to this conference that's coming up shortly.
I bet that you
be there.
You put it quite right. But Mary, the reason why I asked about media, because as we watch democracy go, we can all agree that the media plays a very fundamental role as
Absolutely.
far as communicating with the people. And I think that communication is a great ingredient, as I said, to democracy. So if we're going to watch democracy grow, what role is the media? How do you see the role of the media? Matter of fact, let's say in the conference coming up on October 19 to 21st.
Okay, remember one of the principles of democracy is freedom of press.
Exactly.
So literally when you are talking of media, we are talking of flow of the ideas individually from the organization. So media is there to promote democracy. As a matter of fact, there is what they call digital democracy, which is promoting democracy on the net, especially that our young people, they are now on the cell phones.
Yes.
So what they know as like when you communicate with the people back home, they will tell you, oh, it's my right to do this.
Yes.
So they have learned those rights through media. So media is like an engine for democracy in the real sense.
Yes.
Remember, when you're talking of educating, you're going to educate through media.
Communication, yes.
Communication. So it's a tool that is going to really ease the flow of growing democracy. That's why we prefer it, and that's why we can't do without it.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Let me say, one of the topics on that is going to come up at the conference is going to be women development. And that's my area. I'm going to speak on that issue when I travel this week. But I wanted to touch on that area. It is so important that women be in the development, in the democracy, be at the table. Be at the table in decision making. It's so very important. And I hope that whoever is going to speak on that topic will bring the essence of women in government. Go ahead.
Thank you. Actually, you said a very crucial topic. When we are talking of inclusiveness, we are talking of women.
Yes.
And remember, women have what I would call gender parity. Proportion of women to men in relation to school, in relation to health, and so on and so forth. But when you come back to leadership, you find that women are still a little bit marginalized when it comes to top leadership positions. For instance, we just had Stacey Abraham as the first African woman to really stand for being a nominee of Democratic Party.
Yes.
So that is the development. So how do we engage women in that they are not left, especially that they, in US they constitute almost 50% of US population.
Yes.
So that population needs to be tapped. In Africa, remember, they are the ones who are really facilitating production, labor force. So how do we also put them on the table in that they are able to contribute? And remember, if you are going to change the system, you should be part of the system. So women empowerment is what I stand strong on.
Very strong.
But I usually don't put it at the forefront because that brings an issue of affirmative action. And I believe women, we should also be out there for what is in the air rather than just only using that ticket. But through democracy, we are trying to see how we can grow women participation.
Well, you know, Dr. Bland, there used to be a saying that behind every successful man,
There's a woman.
no, there's no woman there anymore. There's no woman behind any successful man anymore.
I think we're in trouble then.
Go ahead.
Let me say this about women. I say this sincerely, and I'm talking about my own family, my mother and grandmothers and aunts, and they were the cornerstone of my community. I came from a very poor background, the streets of Harlem, a combination of things. And people misrepresent the tie and the shirt and the suit, education, a combination of things. But you never forget those roots that mother made the difference in everything.
Yes.
And she's doing that in Africa. In Africa, they are the primary ones who borrow money under the micro system.
Yes. Microcredit systems.
Yes, and this is the amazing part. And nowhere else are they being charged these fees except in places like Africa. If she borrows $100, she pays back $200. If she borrows $400, she pays back $800. She borrows 1,000, she pays back 2,000.
Yeah.
Now, that's 100% interest by any stretch of the imagination. It's not the men who are making these payments to save their farms and feed their families. They're working them. They're also part of the equation. But it's that woman that takes the lead in this instance. I can remember numerous households where a mother may have had 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 children, but somehow those children were never starving. They had clothing. They had a shelter over their heads. Women are willing to take jobs that men were not allowed to have and were in no position to take for the most part. There's been such division between our respective community, but the foundation rests with what the woman has contributed. And you can think of any household, they will take a job to do anything. They found opportunities to keep us alive doing civil rights, during the Million Man March, a combination of things. They didn't get the credit.
Yeah.
And I was there.
But they did what they had to do. Yep. Is it time for the U.S. to have?
Yes.
Is it time for the U.S. to have a female president? Quickly before we wrap up this part.
I thought it might have happened. I would have been elated had Hillary Clinton. And Hillary Clinton won.
Okay. What do you think?
Well, I studied political science here, and I came to realize actually there is no much difference in as far as conservativeness between U.S. towards women empowerment and Africa. It would take some few years, but we have to keep on, because following the capacity Hillary Clinton had, I wondered why we couldn't have had her. You get what I mean? So when you are trying to assess capacity, she had enormous. When you are assessing being connected politically, she was heavily connected. Why didn't it work? I have no idea. So it's a work in progress.
Why did it not work? I have no idea. But what do you think? Is it time for the U.S. to have a female president? Why not this one from Africa? I'll be right back. This time we're going to talk about human rights as we watch democracy grow. We'll be right back. We are right back in the studios and we are talking about Watch Democracy Grow. We have a conference that is coming up on October 19th to 21st. And what's that website, Mary?
It is www.watchdemocracygrow.org. And when you go to the website, you go to events, directly you go to the registration. And if you want to be registered by phone, it is 240-938-3304. And the person registering is Yvette.
That's Yvette, so we want to see you there. So let's talk about another ingredient, I think, because I worked for the Campaign for Good Governance, so I'm a little bit familiar with these things. And one of the ingredients, I think, is human rights. Let's touch on that a little bit. I don't know if that is going to be covered in the conference, but I hope that somebody will touch on it. Let's talk about human rights a little bit.
When actually you can't separate democracy with the human rights.
That's right.
Because where democracy, which means freedom actually, starts at the root of rights.
That's right.
It's my right to live and your right to live.
Correct.
So human rights really demarcates where my space ends vis-a-vis yours, and that promotes peace. That's why I say actually if we have democracy, we would get chances of peace promotion on the continent, because at least when we see human rights abuses on the continent, they come because human beings are not as considered to have that divine existence, the civil liberties. Basically, there is no any other person who is supposed to take away your life except God. So why would any absolutism or kind of leadership be able to take your right? So democracy will promote that human value respect. That's why we emphasize, and we have a panel on human rights as well.
Oh, that's good. Dr. Bland, you want to add on that?
That's one of the most important elements of any government, is a sense of humanity, being humane and having human rights. That puts us in a position to analyze America's concept of human rights. And when I say that, you have to look at the statements made by the current president, let's make America great again. The question is, what was the reference to making America great again? Was it the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Whether it's the Jim Crow laws that made someone feel more superior than another? Was it a number of wars, and why were they fought? They were not fought for the betterment of the individual soul, other than those who were able to finance the wars and make the profits from the wars. Human rights is the right of every human being. And nobody, under any condition or circumstance, has a right to deny that of anyone, unless there are such exceptions where a crime has been so heinous and has been proven that this is the case, where something has been committed and that person is deranged. Many people have been incarcerated in America, found guilty of crimes they didn't commit. And if you look at our federal agencies, God bless our agencies, God bless the country. Remember, it's not the gun that kills. Remember, it's not the automobile that kills. It's the person who's wielding the gun, who's behind also maybe that automobile itself. The point I'm making in this instance, when President Wilson was in power, he made it clear to the general public that as long as he was president of the United States, nobody black would ever serve in his cabinet, and nobody black would ever serve in any of his agencies. The agencies developed under him, and we've now named a bridge after him here in Virginia and Maryland and some other things named after him. The Federal Trade Commission, the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission, these agencies which are federal are the policeman in an accused crime. They are the policemen, they are the investigators, they are the judge and jury. So your constitutional rights go out the window. Now, that doesn't make sense to the general population, who thinks they're always in charge of having their constitutional rights respected. That isn't the case. You have to understand the nature and design of government and the purpose for doing that. We're kind of growing out of it and recognizing, because of the necessity, people make the difference. They are demanding their constitutional liberties. And they say, you just can't arbitrarily lock me up because of my skin color, or you don't like this woman's hairstyle, or this man's pants, or his shoes, or you can't do that any longer without somebody taking a picture of it and recognizing that there are some wrongs being done in this instance.
So do you think
what we want to do with Watch Democracy Grow is to provide a forum to discuss these issues and coming up with potential solutions legally that can be dealt to help this country grow, and any other country that utilizes our product as we utilize theirs. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's true.
But I wanted to just phase it so it's clear in terms of thought.
Exactly.
So we're looking for these people to be present at these conferences.
Well, everybody looks up to the U.S. as the big brother.
Yes, we are.
So if you do it right, we do it right.
Yes.
If you don't do it right, we don't do it right. Do you think that the West should be doing more to protect democracy in Africa?
Oh, absolutely. My God.
Mary, you want to answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I like that question, because one of the challenges that integration of democracy on the continent faces is the assimilation of democracy with imperialism. So the 1960, during the independence struggles, there is always an assimilation that this new concept is also coming to tell us what to do, which is not the case. So we embrace it. US, being the country which never participated in imperialism, stands the peer with the highest order to actually be able to help democracy integration on the continent. 2, US has got the highest population of blacks from Africa. So there is that tie. So it is, that also brings an opportunity that she can help that population as opposed to the West. 3, during colonial period, the West really should stand moral, and the majority of them really do that, of restructuring or repairing the continent in terms of good governance, supporting good governance, and its advancement in terms of leadership and socio-economic development. Thank you.
On the other hand also, do you think that the mute button has been pressed on Africa?
Yes, it has. In fact, the United States is not making as many investments into Africa as it had done in prior years.
Okay.
And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. They have withdrawn the types of investments that they had legislatively approved. Because something is approved by Congress, doesn't mean it's going to come out of the House, like a firestorm. There are people there who put stumbling blocks in front of the success of the program. And these are people who are running various different agencies where they are usually all white at the top. And you'll find just 1 or 2 blacks or other minorities in some other positions within that industry. And that's at the expense of good government. That's what I meant by if they charge you with a crime, whether it's a felony or whether it's a misdemeanor. They are the policemen, they are the investigators, they are the judge and jury, and you've not had your chance to go before a tribunal. They don't even have to talk to you and come up with a guilty. You haven't been going to a trial even. But that's the nature of the way the government is designed. It's the people who are administering justice when there is no justice at all. My daughter, as I've mentioned, you were well aware of, died in police custody. I'm not happy as a father because of that, but I don't blame all police officers as a result of it, because she had a hand in what she did that helped to cause that circumstance. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. But the idea that we should be protected if we're in the custody of people who are our protectors. If we turn over our lives to our government, we expect our government to have what? An interest in us, because we're here to protect this country or the countries that we're living in under any given circumstance. And when that's denied, you're going to have the discord and dissension. And that's growing throughout this country. And for the first time in the history of this country, have we had as many people, the public, come out against this present administration. It's not that he's the worst guy in the world, it's his beliefs, his philosophy, that doesn't coincide with what the needs are of the people. If he didn't have as much rhetoric and allowed some things to progress without creating dissension amongst the ranks, we'd have a better form of government. He's angry about the success of President Obama. President Obama had nothing bad in his closets, and created no problem while he was in office. He administered this country to the best of his ability. Remember, they tied his hands and didn't let him do what he could have accomplished. But in spite of it, he was very, very, very successful in dealing with the issues of human rights worldwide.
Thank you so very much. And I think that's why Watch Democracy Grow is going to be talking about peace building, because it's so very important. So what should listeners, viewers expect as far as peace building? We talked about the women, about human rights. What about peace building?
Thank you, Dr. Matilda. Remember, the reason why we do community organization is to make sure that at least we get peaceful coexistence. from my little time on earth, I would say I've seen the world would be good, but leadership also comes with its own. He's already citing the current administration. And a lot of people actually cite on those issues. Making America great. Remember, I think it was Reagan who said that what makes America great is that it is a country which is growing forever young, accepting immigrants, allowing the immigrants to come and be part of that culture. That is what makes America great, not other factors.
Not the world.
So that is one particular leader who is making a society move forward. Then you get another leader who is making it go wherever he wants it to go.
The world,
politically, I call it actually political manipulation from the leadership. It happens in all countries, not in US, even other countries. He already spoke of genocide in Rwanda. How do you expect people who have lived for hundreds of years, all of a sudden to get knives and they start killing each other? It's a leadership, whenever leadership coins to their own interest, not to the interest of the community, we always get that situation. So I don't tend to blame actually. I always say any community can be beautiful once mentored beautifully. So I think one thing that I would appreciate in this culture is that we sit here, we talk about it, which means that we are saying, you know what, correct the wrongs. So that is something I would at least say the beauty of America is that you sit and criticize what is not going, and you get that credit. And you are not persecuted for your views.
Of course.
If I can add just one line to that. We currently, under the current administration, are under what I call a recalcitrant administration. Instead of, when we take 2 steps forward, they're taking 4 steps backward. And it's at the expense of the safety and well-being of this nation as we understand it. Let America be great. Let America remain strong. But strong and great with the support of all of its people.
Strong and great with the support of all of its people. From Africa, from the US, from everywhere. This is what makes America great. That's why we're inviting you to this very, very important conference, which Watch Democracy Grow is organizing, October 19th to the 21st. And again, the theme, an integrative approach towards building a democratic and economically progressing continent. You are all invited. This is how we drop the curtain again as we watch on Sundays at 4 p.m. Go to www.africtoday.com. Watch us on Twitter, on YouTube, on WhatsApp. Hey, listen, do you have an Amazon or Smart TV? Get your Fire Stick and watch us there as well. It's been good having you as always. This is your host, SEAH, Matilda BANGA, and I'll see you next time.